Good morning everyone and welcome from the stunning circuit of Okayama here in the Masakawa province of Japan for the final rounds of the Japan Cup and rounds 9 and 10 of the Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia powered by AWS. We are about to get our qualifying sessions underway to set the grid for both today's action, this afternoon's action, and tomorrow's races. My name is Ben Kostenjuris. I'll be your guide for this weekend's action. And if you know Okayama well, you'll know what a beautiful circuit this is. Very tight, very compact, but a real pleasure to drive. The circuit popular amongst the paddock, a popular place to visit as well. And look at the weather that we have here this weekend. It is sweltering hot, and it's going to be really hard work for our drivers who, for the most part, gentlemen bronze drivers. And here is Wei Lu in his number 4 car, who at the moment is our championship leader. Last year's champion, the number 1 car, Anthony Liu, aboard that machine, preparing himself for qualifying 1. And Anthony also taking victory in race 1 last year here in Okayama, on his way to that championship, still with a possibility of fighting for championship honours this year. Just a single point behind Lu Wei in the championship after picking up a podium last time out in Suzuka. And therefore, with 4 races remaining in the GT World Challenge Asia Championship, unlikely to see a champion crowned this weekend unless Lu Wei basically dominates. And there has been no dominating in this year's championship whatsoever, because we've had 7 winners out of 8 different races so far, and only Lu Wei has been able to take 2 victories across the championship season. Okayama these next 2 rounds, and then we head off back to China to finish the championship, as was tradition pre-COVID. It's taken a few years to get back to China, but all the teams very excited with so many Chinese representatives on the grid to finish their championship at the Shanghai International Formula 1 circuit. Very different venues, therefore, for the final 2 rounds of this series. It started way back in April in Sepang, and then did the second leg of its, let's say, international tour in Buriram in Thailand before settling on the shores of Japan for the next 3 rounds at Fuji, Suzuka and Okayama, with Shanghai to finish. Now, the track is a short circuit here at Okayama, just 3.7 kilometers in length, and with 31 cars on the grid, it will be pretty frenetic to try and find yourself track position out there and make sure you don't get held up by other cars. The temperatures will mean the tyres will get up to temperature well. There won't be too much work needed. And it looks as though the first car out of the pits will be the AAS Phantom Global Racing of Vutakorn Interpuvisak, 4th Thai driver in last year's championship, but not really having it his own way this year. Vuti barely scoring consistent points, just 3-point scoring finishes across the whole season this year, and languishes down in 14th spot. Now, this first qualifying session will be for the bronze drivers, or the AM drivers. We don't have any pro entries nor silver. We do have a couple of silver entries, both silver, so watch out in this session for those silver cars, the likes, for instance, of Adli Fong or Frankie Cheng in the 36 Audi. That tends to be the part of the course in this first session. With so many AMs out there, it's the silvers that tend to shine. But you do need to be a full silver entry. And we only have 2 of those, I believe, on the grid. David Chen back at Harmony Racing, alongside Jiatong Liang. David, the owner of Harmony Racing, and he is the other all-silver lineup. There is a third one, of course, with Tanat Satantirikul and Ishan Perez. So cars heading out onto circuit. For the moment, the 36 car staying in the pits. I just mentioned Frankie Chen, Adli Fong in the FAW Audi Sport Asia Racing team. And worth doing, because, as I said, plenty of cars out on circuit. They don't all need to be at the same part of the circuit. There won't be too much weaving going on. I think they'll just be trying to establish a good place to be. There's still looking from my commentary position, I'd say half a dozen cars still in pit lane as the leading cars come round the final couple of corners. And Adli Fong now being released out of pit lane. But I think there's a few that are going to get caught up in traffic here. There's Bob Wan in the 87 machine. That car with a victory in Fuji in race 1, sits third in the championship with long-time teammate Liu Hongli. And the last 4 cars now leave pit lane, but they are going to end up in the traffic in the fast lane. And look, quite a few cars going back into the pits as well. Running clock then on Bob Wan. 1:29 is the lap record set by Danny Ukadela last year. But that was in race trim. I'm sure in qualifying trim we are likely to go a little bit faster than that. So some of the cars, about 4 or 5 cars running through pit lane. Now that is because they have been issued drive-through penalties for being in the fast lane before they were allowed to be. So not a huge penalty, just repositions them on track. No, that's car 93, car 13, car 44 and 77. So Volgas, Harmony Racing, Phantom Global Racing, and the first car that I mentioned was the other Phantom Global Racing Porsche. For Origin though, Bob Wan now through the second of the hairpins. Now these corners do have names, so we'll try and use them as much as possible. That's Mike Knight corner, a lot of them named after British racing drivers of yesteryear. Last corner called last corner, first corner called first corner, so that's kind of simple. But Bob Wan comes over the line to establish a lap time of 1:31.195. That's the one to beat then, as we ride on board with Wei Lu. Let's see a full lap then of this circuit. Turns in nice and early through turn 1, first corner. Now you want to stay to the right hand side because turn 2, Williams goes left. Wei Lu cautious. Then this is a flat out Moss S's down to the far end of the circuit, the Atwood curve, and now we start going back uphill. Quite a big steep climb here. So you want to get good drive out over the brow of the hill, long straight down towards hairpin. And this is a big stop. This is when it starts to get really fiddly. Hard onto the brakes. Ferrari up ahead. Hard right hand, then left hand at Revolver, downhill. Car's really struggling there. And then another left-hander, which is Piper, named after David Piper. A little bit held up Wei Lu through Piper there. And now we climb back up the hill again through a hard left, Redman hairpin. And then Hobbs is this right-hander. And plenty of squabbling through those hairpins over yesteryears. Mike Knight is turn 10. And it looks like Wei Lu is backed out of that one. And I think he might go again. That first effort though from Bob Wan still stands 1:31.195. Wei Lu would have been round about that if he'd not backed off through those last couple of turns, but obviously felt as though he was held up by the Ferrari. Now that Ferrari that he passed, was it a Ferrari or was it a Lamborghini? I think it was Mitsutani in the A&R VSR Lamborghini that he had to pass. Here's James Yu. James Yu Cao, part of the Absolute Racing squad for many years. Started his career in the R8 Cup. No longer a championship, but a really good breeding ground. Therefore, has plenty of experience in what was a very similar car to the GT3 R8. And ever since, James part of the Absolute squad that ran him in that R8 Cup. Did a little bit of Porsches. And shares the car with Akish Nandi. And that is an all-silver entry. And they have had one Silver Cup victory to their name. Comes around the final turn, might get a bit of a slipstream, is able at least to follow the number 4. Liu goes to 8th, but James Yu up to 2nd. Bob Wan has improved, a 29.3 from Bob Wan, and a 21.9 from James Yu. So still half a second separating those two. In 3rd position is the 36 of Frankie Chen, but that's his first attempt, I think. And actually, he's just been dropped down to 6th spot. So race control, I think, starting to have an effect. Not too easy to do track limits around the circuit here, because a lot of it goes straight to grass. It's Bob Wan who is fastest at the moment. Bian Yi in the Lamborghini VSR 2nd, and then in the 888 JMR is Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim, 3rd spot. As another driver that would be looking to get a result. Only one podium for Prince Abu Bakr this year. Championship challenger, champion a few years ago. And yeah, best result, 3rd in Suzuka last time out. Both Suzuka races pretty chaotic, weren't they? With multiple safety cars in both races. And I would expect the same here, considering how tight the circuit is. Anthony Liu moving from Mercedes to Porsche for this year, to Absolute Racing. And such, I mean, they're both GT3 cars, yes, but such different cars to drive. Liu goes up to 4th position. Lots of improvements coming through now. James Yu back up to 3rd. Frankie Chen is the fastest car out there. There he is in the 36. Nice clear track for Frankie. Winning the first round of the year in Sepang with his teammate Adli Fong. Certainly the first race, and therefore qualifying one, favouring slightly the silver pairings, of which Frankie and Adli are. And this looks like a slow down lap for Frankie Chen after that last effort. Only 0.03 of a second faster than Bob Wan has managed. And then James Yu just a 10th off, so it's starting to get much tighter now. There is James Yu once more. Not an improvement on this lap, but he might go for another effort after this one. Comes towards the line. That's a 29. No, it's a 30.0. So that's 1 second slower than he's managed before. And we saw that his early splits were particularly great. So car body language looks like he's pushing. Check in with the 2 VSR Lamborghinis. Mitsutani in the 563, following Bian Yi in the number 6. Now Yi was up on the front row, wasn't he? Now down in 6th position. Is this going to be an improvement from Yi? Waiting for the clock to catch up. No, stays in 6th. Hirabon in the Nismo Nissan GTR has moved himself up into 5th spot. That's 2nd of the Silverram runners. And we saw that car take victory in Suzuka last time out. Only the second podium of the year for the number 500. Oh, now James Hughes had a good middle sector. This looks like it could be an improvement for James Hughes and for Absolute Racing. Comes towards the line now, was third, but a great middle sector. Surely an improvement. Yes, it is, a 28.7. Drops the bar down 0.3 of a second now. Hirobon improves as well. He goes up to 4th spot in Goji Zen. And let's see what it looks like in this big Nissan. It's a tight and twisty circuit, this Okayama circuit. Certainly not a car I would choose to use around a fiddly track like this. Trying to pick up a little bit of a slipstream from the Porsche Centro Asaki Porsche there that was coming offline. And Hirobon's first sector, very strong indeed. Now, middle sector of the lap is around here on this straight now. So is this continuing to be a push lap for Hirobon? Half a second off, but to be fair, he is half a second off anyway from James Hughes. No sign of Tana Sathentirikul in the 911, only 13th position right now. He's another of our silver competitors. And David Chen, the owner of Harmony Racing, down in 25th position. Those are the 4 silvers we'd expect to see up the sharp end. Logic suggests, anyway. As Bob Wan gets his lap deleted, and no improvement there from Hirobon, although behind him there has been an improvement from Lu Wei. And now Sathentirikul comes over the line to set a time, the 911 Porsche, up to 5th position. There is Harmony Racing. David Chen getting himself back into the seat to partner Chai Tong Lang. We normally see Kailu Lu partnering Chai Tong, but for this race, David Chen back aboard. Otherwise known as Chen Wian. A little bit caught out by traffic there into the hairpin. That might have just slightly disrupted his focus. This is not a particularly ideal track positioning from the 77, having to follow Climax Racing, and the Mercedes around the lap has compromised them slightly. It might still be an improvement though, it is. Up to 15th spot for David Chen, but get the feeling he might have been able to do more. Running clock on the Audi number 40 of Hang Ruhan. And now on board with Frankie Chen, second, has improved, got himself into the 28s now, 28.9 his best lap. We've got the checkered flag out for the end of the session, so he's going to have to do it now or never. And it looks as though, as we've tended to see, those Audis with their silver partnerships coming to the fore in this first part of qualifying. A little bit of understeer through the final turn from Frankie Chen. So he's not going to trouble James Yu. Comes over the line, and he's only fractionally off his best lap. Ooh, Wei Lu up to third on their last attempt. And third by 0.02 of a second as well. So second row for Wei Lu. That's really strong from a Pro-Am lineup, best of the Pro-Ams, and obviously championship challenging as well. Very, very important. He's got a different teammate this weekend, his third teammate. Oh no, and we have a Lamborghini off to finish the session. Checker flag is out though, and it does look as though Mitsutani has gone off into some of that protective foam, so hopefully not too badly damaged the A&R VSR Lamborghini. But those early attempts from Bob Wan, for instance, keeping him in fourth position. So it's Audi on the front row, but then Porsche on row 2. Hiddebon fifth. And our other championship challengers, the number 1 of Anthony Liu, 9th position. So they're all up there. Lu Wei, championship leader, 3rd. Anthony Liu, 9th, 2nd in the championship. 3rd in the championship is the 87, which is 4th in this qualifying session. And then Frankie Chen, 4th in the championship, 2nd in qualifying 1. But a mighty lap from James Yu to get himself onto the pole position. That number 41 Absolute Racing Audi will now be handed over to Akish Nandi for the second part of qualifying. And of course, if you are silvers, you are able to choose which silver goes into that first part of qualifying. And so over the year, we have seen it slightly alter. It's James Yu who has the pole position for race 1, alongside Frankie Chen, with Wei Lu and Bob Wan on row 2. Hiddebon and Tanat Sathan-Tirikol, a late effort for the 911, up into 6th. Prince Abubakar Ibrahim 7th, and Ruo Huang in 8th. Anthony Liu 9th, and the best of the Lamborghinis, Bianye 10th spot. Good effort from Amac and the AM lineup of Will Porter. Ben Porter 11th spot, and then the best of the Ferraris is the LM Corsa, number 60. Into Puvasak down in 13th. Nagai for Porsche in 14th. Then David Chen 15th. Cao Chi in 16th spot. Andre Canard in 17th. And the rest of our 31 runners rounded out by our new VSR team, father and son lineup of Johnson and Gavin Huang. It was Johnson, the father, who took part in that first session, and he rounds out our 31 cars. Interesting place for the Lamborghini 563 to go off, actually. It's gone off at turn 10 around the back of the lap, which is really just an acceleration zone. It's actually just behind the camera position that we're looking at here. So there's the pole car for race 1. James Yu handing over to Akish Nandi now. Nandi, the face on the left of that graphic. But we do have a slight delay, so plenty of time for Amy to go and talk to drivers, because we need to get that Lamborghini out of the barrier. Shouldn't be too hard, I wouldn't have thought. But it's as I say, it's a curious place for them to go off, because turn 10 Mike Knight corner is basically just an acceleration zone towards the final corner. So I wonder whether there was contact with another car. There were the two other VSR Lamborghinis, Vincenzo Spiri Racing Piagni handing over to Edoardo Liberati. Now, some names to look out for in Q2, if we could move on to that. We have, obviously, our pro drivers. Always exciting to have European pro drivers with us here in Asia. But we've got a big, compact calendar of motorsport this weekend. And so some of the names that we are used to seeing this weekend are elsewhere. And therefore, it's brought us some new names. In the 30 car, for instance, watch out for the Craft Bamboo 30 of JP de Oliveira. Brazilian driver, but multiple Super GT and Super Formula champion a good 10 years ago now. Really is known for his performances out here in Asia, and probably one of the best known, most successful Asian racers that are out there. JP's not raced in Fanatec GT before, and so great to have him with us. Thank you to Craft Bamboo, and we're excited to see how JP de Oliveira gets on in that Mercedes. Also new to the championship, Dorian Boccolacci, young French-Italian, who has been part of the effectively works Porsche squad in GT Europe. There's a Sprint Cup race this weekend in GT Europe, so he's not needed as part of the Sprint team, and so he's free to come out and partner in the number 13 car. It's a brand new lineup in that 13 car. It's actually a brand new car as well, because if you remember, the 13 was comprehensively rolled and written off in Suzuka. So Phantom Global Racing with a brand new Porsche 911 GT3R, a new driver in Angzi, and Dorian Boccolacci to partner him. Now, where did that car qualify? 18th. Now, here's a replay. What are we going to see of the Lamborghini? Look at the top of screen. Okay, so he's dipped a wheel on the left-hand side of the circuit and tried to turn in whilst the car is off on what is very, very sort of sandy, dusty circuit. And you can see the edge of the circuit there actually kind of falling away. So turned in and the cars ended up in the barrier. Let's go down to Amy and hear a little bit more.
So quite unfortunate what happened on track. Let's ask Yuki what happened. Is the driver first of all okay?
Yeah, he's fine, totally fine. He just pushed in very hard, and then he was developing himself quite well and quite quickly, but at the end it was a little bit too much. So he found the barriers, but hope the car is fine, and then if I can bring the car in front in the Q2 would be mega. So I just let's see if we have a damage or not, and then even with the damage I'm gonna try my best.
I see that you are super ready already, so let's hope that there's no damage to the car. All the best luck to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I would have thought the Lamborghini should be absolutely fine from the very efficient way in which it's been pulled out of the barriers and the efficient barriers that seemingly will have absorbed all of that impact. We'll have a chance to see on the left-hand side, but it's not like a tyre barrier that is quite aggressive, let's say. Look at that. I would say that is barely touched. So Yuki Inamoto, who we've just heard from, will jump aboard that car for Q2. I presume he'll be allowed to. He implied that he would be. What he does need to do, and what they're trying to do right now, is clear the car of gravel, because there might be a bit of gravel that have come, as the car's gone sideways through the gravel, it might have gone into the brake discs, it might have gone into the wheels, and the worst thing is a bit of gravel stuck between a brake disc and a brake pad. Number one, it makes the most horrible noise, but two, it does quite a bit of damage to both pad and disc. And it's so easy to do. If you don't clear the car brake ducts and things And the other thing is, he hasn't had a chance to accelerate and then deaccelerate particularly because he's been stuck behind that ambulance. So there could also be gravel in the ducts, which he's not going to be able to clear, ducts rather than quack quack. And he's not going to be able to clear that until he gets on the throttle and then brake. Let's go down and hear from the pole men in race 1.
Here with the pole sitter, James, another pole position in your pockets. Congratulations, and tell me about your flying lap.
Thank you very much. It's an amazing feeling to secure, I think, the 3rd silver pole position for Audi Sports. Yeah, it was a very clean lap, and I think I was quite lucky that I didn't get much traffic. So I just tried to calm down and do the best lap I could, and yeah, I'm really happy.
Fantastic start into the weekend. I wish you all the best luck in the race this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Still young is James Yu. Oxford educated, I believe. That is delving into the depths of my brain from last year. But James, obviously speaking very, very good English indeed. And as I said a bit earlier, Akash Nandi will be aboard that Absolute Racing Audi R8. Sad that that car basically kind of discontinued now. For years, the staple really of GT3 racing, but with Audi's focus on Formula 1, they support the car, but will not be developing the car. And so over time, that car will stay balanced. You know, the people at SRO will keep the car competitive through balance of performance, but technology will catch up eventually. Cars then queuing up at the end of the pit lane for Q2. This is the opportunity to see in our Pro-Am entries the pro drivers aboard those cars, and very excited to see what they can do around here. JP Oliveira, as I mentioned, in the number 30, a circuit he knows and has won in all kinds of categories. Our other pro newbie, Dorian Bacalacci, may have raced this on iRacing. Probably shouldn't mention that, but it is a circuit that you can race online, but he certainly hasn't raced in real life. His first race, I believe, in Asia, although he did the Asian Le Mans series, so maybe his first race in Japan rather than Asia. Bastien Bus is back with us. He's the partner to Lu Wei in that number 4 car, sitting second in the queue. On board with him now, Bastien. We've seen him in other cars, in other Porsches, with other teams this year, but it's his first time alongside Lu Wei to help Lu Wei with that championship battle. Bastien Bus's best result, though, only 4th, and that was way back in Sepang when he was partnering Wuttekorn Unterpuvesak. Leading out the 31 cars, Liu Hongli in the 87 Origin Motorsport, just as Bob Wan did in our first session. And that partnership taking victory in race 1 in Fuji, sitting 3rd in the championship, sitting 13 points off Lu Wei. Obviously, Lu Wei is the partner car at Origin Motorsport. Although it's quite hard to tell, to be fair, because they have completely different liveries. And there are various different Porsches out there run by different teams. Now, there's JP Oliveira. I said watch out for him, and he's already looking attacking in the number 30 Mercedes, has just gone through shot. We look to the 88 that for this race has Fabian Schiller, partnering Jeffrey Lee. And then the Phantom Global Racing partners, there's Boccolacci. If you do have Google in front of you, Google Dorian Boccolacci karting. He had the most insane hair when he was a 13-year-old kid. It's much more tempered now. But if you are a big fan of GT World Challenge, then think Erwin Bastard kind of hair. Right then, first man to start a fast lap is this, the 87 Origin Porsche of Liu Hongli. Relatively clean track ahead, the 911 is up the road, but shouldn't be too much of a problem. That's Ishan Perez, the Sri Lankan, aboard that car. There's JP Oliveira. And surprise, surprise, purple sector 1 from JP. Brazilian, you'll notice that on our graphics at least, is driving with a Japanese license, such as the amount of time he's spent over here in Japan. And the body language of these cars changes when you get the pros in. See how later on the brakes JP was into the hairpin. How the nose dips down, how he leans on those front tyres to ask them to grip. And this is my tip for pole position. Brazilian flag on the car. Oh, he's going to get slightly balked here by Liu Hongli. Wonder if Liu Hongli's backed out of this first lap. JP's going to have a lovely slipstream down the main straight though here. Lights flashing. And it is going to be a 29.3 from Oliveira, who sets the benchmark. Liu Hongli did a 33.7, so quite a few not going as fast. Bastien Bous doing a 34.8 as we now ride on board with his second lap. Let's see what this car looks like. Coming down to the hairpin. Hard on the brakes of the hairpin, tries to get the nose in to get the apex. It seemed to work for him there. It's really tricky, this corner. Downhill, left-hander. Car was falling away from you. And now to Redman. Interesting how they sort of stay to the right-hand side there into Hobbs. They don't take the traditional racing line. Distance travels too much. Quite a big lift through Mike Knight at turn 10. And then onto the main straight. Bastien Bous does a 28.5. So he goes into provisional fastest. A really good final sector from Bastien. And it's Bous ahead of Schiller, ahead of Winkelhock. De Oliveira comes straight into the pits, which is curious. I'm trying to see if I can think he's come straight back out again. No, it says pit. Oh, it's underneath me. Okay, so what's going on with them? No, it looks like they're rotating tyres on that car, which is quite interesting. Getting the fronts and the rears swapped around. No one else doing that, so I wonder whether that is a JP Oliveira philosophy down at Craft Bamboo, where you've got the engine over the front tyres, but you've got the drive from the rear, perhaps slightly harder to get temperature into the tyres. Picarello we're following now. Wow, just caught that 52 Mercedes at the wrong place. Forced him a little bit wide. And I think he may have backed out of that one. Doesn't really look particularly attacking through those last couple of corners, but he'll go again now if he's got the track clarity to benefit. There is an Audi ahead of him, but I don't think it will get in his way. So that was only good enough at 18th position, but this now will be the push. Boos, the Dane, on the pole at the moment. Marcus Winkelhock, ex-Formula 1 driver, second. Kondo in the Porsche for Okazaki in third position, then Oostend in fourth in the BMW. We haven't seen too much of that BMW, but fourth spot at the moment. Kamimura in fifth and Ericsson in sixth. Joel Ericsson, that is. Picarello on target then for this next effort. Gets the nose in, just runs a little bit wide. Interesting line there, going through the hairpin. Now down the hill, through Revolver. Stays nice and wide. This is where he got caught out last time, but no such problems this time. Breaks the beam for the second split. It is better this time as Boccolacci goes to the head of the field. Through the hairpin at Hobbs. Now to the final part of the lap. Bastien Boos gets pole position back from Boccolacci. We're watching the third of the Porsches. Picarello coming towards the line now. 28.1 to beat. Where does he slot in? Sixth position only. There is Boccolacci in the 13. Very attractive looking livery on that 991. Yeah, 991. 992, sorry. Now we've got a new name at the top of our standings. Ralph Aaron in Climax 22. Up to second position. Liberati on the pole position for Lamborghini. So despite the temperature out there, despite the traffic, we're still seeing improvements. Boccolacci could also go faster again. Bastien Boos just behind him could also go fast. We've still got 6 minutes remaining of this session. Boccolacci to the line. He goes fastest, a 28.079, just 15 hundredths faster than Liberati. But here's Bastien Boos. And if all has gone well through that final sector, Boos goes back to pole. A 27.8 from Bastien Boos. Now look at the splits of Picarello. Could be an improvement, but it's not going to challenge for pole position. Ninth only in Q1 for his teammate Andrew Liu. And Picarello only sixth right now. So it's Porsche, Lamborghini, Mercedes, as Ralph Aaron is on another good lap. And maybe we're going to see Ralph Aaron improve. There he is, the back, a shot. Second. So Bastien Boos has got a bit of breathing space. A 10th behind Ralph Aaron. Liberati third, Boccolacci fourth. And then best of our silver Rams is the 87 of Leo Hongli. Then it's Picarello, Ericsson, Oostend, Winkelhock and Akish Nandi. Best of the silvers in 10th spot. On board with Bastien Boos. This is not a push lap. You can see from the orange numbers. He'll probably just be trying to get some air into that car, just cool it down a little bit. We flick to Edoardo Liberati, who, as we came to him, didn't look like he was particularly pushing. Yeah, so he's backed out of this lap. And lights flashing from behind as the GTO Racing team of Yatsuoka wants to get past, and Liberati kind of in the middle of the road there. Picarello with Winkelhock now behind him. Winkelhock's been shuffled down to 10th spot now. Car that he shares with Ruohan Huang. Again, Picarello's first split not looking particularly handy. That little burst of activity seems now to have calmed down. Now, that reminds me, as we look at the number 30, where is Oliveira? Only 18th spot right now, but remember he went into the pits. So either that car has an issue or Oliveira is waiting for the traffic to disperse and he's going to pounce with 3 minutes remaining. Improvement from Ericsson up to 5th position. It's not going to be an improvement for this car on this lap. Bodes well, doesn't it, for Bus and Lu Wei. Provisional pole right now for the Dane. Into the pits comes Picarello. He thinks he doesn't have anything more in that car, so he's deciding to give it, to park it for the day. De Oliveira up to 2nd position. Right, the Brazilian is now on his 2nd attack. We watch Wakisaka, only 21st at the moment in the LM Corsa Ferrari, 296 GT3. No improvement that time, stays 21st. Slightly disappointing, isn't it? For what is a Pro-Am car, and it's a pro driver. There's De Oliveira with a bit of traffic by the looks of things. How's his first split? It's a green first split again. Disco lights from the 18 of Kamimura. Now, where's Kamimura? Only 17th spot. He's on an improved lap. And Stoltz moves up into 6th position. We haven't seen anything from Lucas Stoltz in this qualifying session. Now up to 6th. De Oliveira's backed out. I think he feels there's too much traffic around him. So that's next attempt is not going to work, which means this one that he comes to now is his last attempt. Can JP Oliveira, on his debut in GT World Challenge, get himself a pole position here in Okayama? Or will it be Bastian Bus, who is now in the pits, so he cannot defend from this man? Into turn 1. Let the car run nice and wide on that left-hand curb. Then switch to the right-hand side. Carry the momentum through turn 2. Through Williams now, because you're accelerating all the way down to Atwood. On the brakes, the nose dives on that heavy Mercedes front end. Feed the power on, up the hill, carry the momentum over the brow. There's a couple of cars ahead. Hopefully they're travelling fast enough. One of them to D-Station Aston Martin of Tomo Fuji. The Nissan of Kanemaru. There's probably not going to be improvement, but an opportunity to hear that fantastic sounding Nissan. De Oliveira just behind Kanemaru, who stays in 12th. Is a 10th and a half off pole position. I don't think JP Oliveira has got enough here. Through the final turn he comes. Fabian Schiller gets himself up to 9th on a last-ditch effort. Oliveira comes over the line and stays in 2nd position. So it is Bastian Bus who has the pole position in a new team for this weekend, Origin Motorsport, a new partnership with Lu Wei. And there isn't anybody else that really can challenge. Liberati in the number 6. 4th position right now, but actually in touch. This could be an improvement from Liberati. He'd have to have done a lot to get it onto the pole position. He comes towards the line. And it is no improvement. It's getting dusty, I think, around these final couple of turns. Yeah, look at that. See how much dust has been brought onto the circuit. Liberati losing 0.3 of a second in that final sector of the lap. And now I think you can say it's done. There's Bastian Bus, the Dane, junior Porsche driver. It's been rather pimped out this year across different teams and partnerships. But for him, for Origin and for Lu Wei, they'll be very, very happy with a pole position, especially considering what that means for their championship challenge. It's a good qualifying from Lu Wei in Q1 and the best for Bastian Buus, but he's going to have to fight. JP Oliveira will line up alongside him into turn 1. And we'll just try and get our cars back into pit lane. And then Amy will be down there to be able to chat to our pole man. Confirmation then of just a 1/10 of a second gap between Bastian Buus and JP Oliveira. That's your front row for the Sunday race. Ralph Aron and Edo Liberati on row 2. Boccolacci on his debut in 5th. Lucas Stoltz alongside him. Then Joel Eriksson and Geerschitz with Fabian Schiller and Leo Hongli. Picarello only 11th position for the championship challengers. Maxim Usend, Kanimaru, Nemoto, Winkelhock, Nandi. Some amazing names. And whilst it was a great performance from Ben Porter in AMAC Motorsport Porsche in 31, McPherson at the tail of the field for the second qualifying. Let's go down to Amy with our pole man.
Fantastic job out there. Congratulations on your pole position. This is what you came here for this weekend. Looking forward to championship. How was your lap?
I think, yeah, a lap nearly without any mistakes. Super well balanced car. I think the major job is done from the team, having the car settled from quite early on in the weekend. So we've been able to work on the small details all the way, and yeah, I think this is a good proof of how well performing the team is. So yeah, of course, now the goal is to succeed the weekend and complete the races with good results, gaining some good points for the championship.
How happy was your partner, Lu Wei?
He's very satisfied. You know, a P1 and a P3. A starting positions is a very good way to start our weekend, and yeah, definitely some good potential for some good points and good results throughout the races.
Congratulations again, and thank you.
P1 and P3. That I didn't realize it was that good. That is a really strong setup to a weekend for our Origin Motorsport number 4. On course, well, championship leaders by 1 point. On course for a good weekend, fingers crossed, here in Okayama. Obviously anything can still happen, and we are expecting some kind of precipitation over the weekend. It's been very, very hot on the lead up. It's not quite as hot today. Here are the highlights then of our qualifying session, Q2, with our pro drivers in those Pro-Am entries. And some new names to get our heads around. JP Oliveira instantly attacking in the Craft Bamboo Mercedes. And Bastian Buus in the number 4 Origin Porsche, equal to him on this session. Interesting to see how much improvement we got lap after lap from these guys. They were able to nibble away at their best times throughout the session. The Pirelli tyre allowing them to do that. An attempt from Wakisaka, but unfortunately he only stayed down in 21st position. A late attack from JP Oliveira wasn't good enough to improve his time. He did set a late time to get himself up to 2nd, but this last attempt to get him a pole position failed, I'm afraid. But either way, for that number 30 car, a really strong teammate for Cao Chi to have for this weekend. That's your pole man though, Bastian Buus from Denmark. We reset ourselves now and turn our attention to the Japan Cup. It's qualifying for the final weekend of the Japan Cup of its inaugural season. And what a success it has been. We've got 17 cars coming into qualifying. On the entry list, I should say. We've got 16 cars coming into qualifying. There is a big story that's been developing here at Okayama. There is the championship as it stands coming here, with the K-Tunes Ferrari leading the K-Tunes Lexus. And really, those two, the only two that can really wrap up the championship. However, Tadao Uematsu, mathematically, in his McLaren, could still do it. Nobody else behind could. We've seen Bingo Racing, for instance, move out of the Pro-Am category and move into the Am category, which kind of eliminates their possibilities. Joining Comet Racing there as well. There is the K-Tunes Ferrari, but you may notice, if you look around, there is no K-Tunes Lexus. Unfortunately, in practice yesterday, Suenaga and Morionita with an engine issue that is unrectifiable on their Lexus RCF GT3, and therefore this Ferrari has basically got 1.5 hands on the championship. They still need to score, they still need to finish and prevent maximum points being taken by the team Machina McLaren. In GT4 though, it is way more exciting. It is way closer. This is the K-Tunes Racing Toyota Supra. But it is actually the Okayama Toyota that leads the Drivers' Championship, with Sorehiro in the number 38. The number 39 Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia car also still mathematically able to win the championship with Manopo, and the number 50 YZ Racing Toyota of Fuji and Masaki Kano can also win the championship. The 82 that we've just seen with Fujiwara and Makino is an outside shot, as they are 20-something points off. It is the final round of the championship. We've got a few extra cars. Banksy and Fujinami at 7-7. Another incredibly well-known Japanese racing driver. Kyoto Fujinami, long-time Nissan Works driver, and this year being able to be free to drive other cars. So we've seen him with the Porsche Center car in GT World Challenge, and he's here with his team KFM to join the the Japan Cup. D Station also represented with young Hoshino and Kenji Hama. And it's the run-up Nissan GTR which leaves the pit lane first to start this first qualifying session. Right, one man to watch out for in this session is the 555 Mazao Racing Ferrari. Yes, Mazao Racing is back, and the reason why you want to watch the 555 in this session is because it is Yuzaku Mizawa who is aboard that car. He's been doing Ferrari Challenge this year, and he has decided that he is going to step up and have a good go at the Japan Cup this weekend. So we've seen his team successful here last year, of course, taking victory in GT World Challenge, but we've not seen him take the wheel, and so this is our opportunity to see Spaceman do it. A regular feature in GT World Challenge Asia as part of his team, or indeed parading some of his amazing collection of supercars. But now a big moment for a real fan of this category of racing. He's kind of mid-pack. He's got double 5 Team Machina ahead, so that's a pretty good car to follow, actually. And when you are a less experienced racer, it does help to have a car ahead of you to kind of understand what needs to be done. This, his first lap then. Yusaku Maezawa. Slightly catching Tadao Uematsu through turn 2. You want Uematsu to start pushing so he can actually follow him rather than passing him. But he will have been very happy with a bit of a slipstream, and actually now is backed out of it there, so perhaps felt like he got caught up. But he's still in a good position track-wise, because he's now got our championship winners-elect going past him. Seems to be very conscious of cars around him, doesn't he? Another of our big Nissan GTRs. 2 for this weekend. We welcome back Team Daishen. Oyagi, the father and son duo that we saw in Fuji. And they did pretty well there. Back with us for this final round. We do have cars on laps already. And it is going to be the number 7 Ferrari Comet Racing of Yurikatsu Sujiko, sorry, who sets the first time, a 1:33.8. Banksy, another new name to the championship with that 7.7 by KFM car, following down into turn 4. Now, is he behind Maezawa? I think he might be. So it might be a little bit more lights flashing. No, he's behind the Comet Racing. So those are the first 2 cars on track, and interestingly, Banksy slightly faster than Sujoko. Slower lap then from Banksy. Choosing just to back out of that, presumably because he caught the Ferrari and felt like he could go faster, so he just created a gap for himself to go again. Just behind him, the McLaren of Uematsu on a double purple, so we should see a competitive time from the Team Machina car, the only other car that can mathematically win the championship, but he does need to win absolutely everything. Oh no, Maezawa's been round. And no harm done. Keeps the car away from the barrier. That looks like turn 1 to me. So he's just now going to have to clean that car, as we spoke about in the last session. Just get the gravel out of the car. And Uematsu does go fastest from Yamawaki by 1/10.5. McLaren ahead of Ferrari. And those 2 going faster than our previous fastest time from Comet Racing. But that's an all-AM car, so you wouldn't expect that car to be that far up the field. Of course, we've got all-AMs out there on the track though, don't we? Because the Pro-Am category cars, oh, around goes Banksy. Double waves yellows. Interesting place to go around. You're pretty low speed there. Now, Uematsu's gone through a yellow flag zone, so he's not going to be able to improve, even if the car looks pretty good, doesn't it? The way that he's leaning on it. Uematsu back up to first position, but I would assume race controls take that lap away from him. Chujiko in the Comet Racing Ferrari also was an improver. Let's see what happened here. The rear end just breaks away from him. Wasn't really. He was trying to make that corner a bit rounder. And as we saw in the GT World Challenge practice qualifying session, you don't really take the conventional racing line through that hairpin. You kind of stay on the inside. And I think what Banksy was trying to do was actually go wider and give it more turn-in, and basically the rear said, no, there's not the grip here to do that. So, Nobu Oyagi in the Team Daishan with GT-Net, sorry. Sitting at the moment in 10th position. This is not going to be an improvement either. Still got 6.5 minutes remaining, so still plenty of time for these AM drivers to find their pace. Might finally see the Bingo Racing Corvette feature, because there is the Bingo Racing Corvette, fan favourite out there on circuit, but Motoki is right at the tail of the field with a time that is 9 seconds off the pace. And slower than all the GT4 cars, so not really representative. Here's Maezawa. Now this is looking better, isn't it? At that pace, it will be second position for Maezawa. Behind Uematsu. Now, what's he got ahead of him? Oh, he's got a GT4 car ahead of him, and it's not going to be going very fast through these last two corners. Doesn't have the downforce, doesn't have the grip of a GT3 car, and that will have compromised Maezawa through those last two turns. That's a real disappointment. Needs to get on the flashers for the Cayman that's ahead of him. Dives down the inside. Cayman saw him, thankfully. Ah, there's Bingo Racing. Now, we have seen an improvement from Motoki, and he's up to third spot now. As I mentioned, that must have been basically was his first effort. Such an attractive car, great livery on that car as well. And listen to the sound as well. Oh. Uematsu once again improving. And I think this might be pole position for the Maka. Again, 2.5 tenths of a second faster than Banksy. Motoki third. Tsuchiko is fourth for Comet Racing. And then Yamawaki only fifth for K-Tune's Ferrari. 1.3 seconds back. Haven't really starred yet. Now, what's happening GT4? Manopo at the moment on the pole position in the 39. Improvement from Fuji in the BMW. The YZ, I think I said earlier that that was a Toyota, the YZ Racing. Obviously it's not. Yuki Fuji. just moving himself up to second position then. And then it is Hoshino in the D station. Aston Martin in third spot. Banksy on a push again. Clear track around him. He's got the Corvette ahead of him, dragging him along. Is this back up to provisional pole with 3.5 minutes remaining? To the line comes Banksy in the Porsche. Motoki's gone faster ahead of him, but Banksy goes even better. Banksy on the pole for 7-7 with KFM. And you've got to expect that their pro driver is going to be well up there as well. That's good news for 7-7 KFM. They're a guest team. They won't score points. They won't take points away from the championship challengers. Round goes Maezawa again. Just a little bit overexcited with the acceleration. Now, the cars usually have traction control. Traction control actually should have dealt with that. Let's have a look again. Lovely use of track there. Absolutely perfect. Turns in, takes a couple of bites at it, and has he just carried too much speed? I think he's carried too much speed and then lit up the rears, knowing that perhaps he would go a little bit wide. And he is actually still sitting there. He's managed to get himself off the circuit, and I think he should be able to start moving from there, but unfortunately we've got 2 minutes remaining. The yellow flag in that zone, it does mean that nobody's able to improve again. And quite a few have gone into pits. Uematsu and the McLaren in the pits. The Comet Racing Ferrari in the pits as well. A lot of the GT4 cars have come in. On board the Corvette. Such a big stop, isn't it, going into hairpin turn 5. And now down the hill, throw the car in. He's so fiddly. There's no room for error. Look how close the barriers are around the circuit here. Oh, again, just carrying a bit too much speed into that hairpin, exactly the same as Maezawa did. Seems to try and drag you in. And with that mistake, Motoki bails out of the lap. And with 30 seconds remaining, I think we might have a grid. Nishikawa comes in. Yamawaki improved on that last lap, so not quite as far away from the ultimate pace, but K-Tune's Ferrari only 5th in qualifying 1. Banksy, it is, on the pole position. Uematsu, there's the McLaren, in second. Now, Uematsu will go again in the next session because he has no teammate, as he has all year, run in the AN category alone. And so he gets a lot of track time. But he's going to struggle to get pole position in race 2 because we've got the big boys, the pro drivers, coming out in the second session. Yamawaki, is this another push? It does look like it, doesn't it? In GT4, Manopo getting in the pole position for Toyota, Fuji for BMW in 3rd, and then Hoshino in the D station. Aston Martin 3rd position in GT4 overall. And the K-Tunes Toyota Supra rounding out the tail of the GT4 field. Now, they are not part of the championship challenge. Makino in the Sunrise Boulevard Porsche is, and they are penultimate. There's the GTC car. Haven't really spoken about GTC. There is a third category. Got 2 GTC cars. That is the 83 of Haga. It's basically an old 911 GT3 car. It's a 991, and there's another one of those being run as a Pro-Am car by ABSA. Satoshi Kono qualified in 9th position. So, Banksy has the pole position for race 1. For 7-7 with KFM. Uematsu in 2nd, Motoki, and then Comet Racing in 4th. K-Tune's only managing 5th position ahead of Maezawa. He'll be happy with that in 6th spot. Then the best of the Nissans from run-up, just ahead of Daishan. The 2 GTC cars, and then the best of the GT4 category. Monopo ahead of Fuji, ahead of Hoshino. The 38, only 4th in GT4, but only 0.4 of a second separating them. Let's go down then to Amy, who's in the pits.
With the pole sitter here, 666 Banksy. Banksy さん、もうすごいの一言です。おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
どんなラップでしたか？
いや前にカレラカップ一緒に出てる本木さんが走ってたんで、いつも僕本木さんの後ろ走ってるんで、なんかもうポルシェでカレラカップやってるみたいな、そんな感じで走ったらなんかいつも通り走れて、まあ車の分だけ勝ったかなって。はい。
いやもう素晴らしかったですけど、レースねこの後控えてるんで頑張っていただきたいですけど。
南氏がまたぶっちぎってくれるのを楽しみにしてます。
期待しましょう。はい。ではレースの方も頑張ってください。
はい、ありがとうございます。
改めておめでとうございました。So yes, Motoki was in front of him, and it just felt like the days when he was racing with him during the Carrera Cup, and just, he remembered that time, and when he just remembered, then he was as fast as back then, so he's very happy that he got this fast lap. He's very looking forward to Fujinami's lap as well, and then a lot of fun will be there in the race this afternoon, so he's crossing the fingers for his partner and doing the race as well. Back to you.
Nice, like that. Sitting in behind an old rival, being drawn along by another car. It's important in qualifying. It's not so important for pro drivers because they are obviously operating at their peak at every single lap. But for gentleman drivers, having those cars around you, that inspiration, that kind of comfort that you're doing the right thing, it does help. And very cool to have the 666 guests entries this weekend on the pole position ahead of this man, Tadao Uematsu. Lots going on in there, isn't there? Blimey. Trying to keep the driver cool, trying to keep the car cool as well. It's going to be hard work for Uematsu this weekend. 2 races where he does not share the car. Not many, if any, doing that. I think there is one in GT World Challenge, but he is the only single driver entry in Japan Cup. And I tell you what, on a weekend of this weather, a full hour in one of those, he is, and around a track that's so busy as well, trying to muscle a 720 around here, he is going to be working hard. I don't think he'll need to go into the gym next week. Right then, Q2. We get the pro drivers into the cars that have them. A lot of these entries are AMs, but we do have pros in the 98. Shinichi Takagi in the K-Tunes Ferrari. We also have Kyoto Fujinami in the 7.7 KFM, and Naoki Yokomitsu in the Maezawa Racing Ferrari. Now, he was the winner last year in GT World Challenge here, alongside obviously a different teammate. But expect Yokomitsu to do well. Then you've got a few silver drivers, although they are in the GT4 category. And then the rest of the field are AM drivers. So basically, it's a 3-horse race for pole position in GT3. It's Ferrari 296 versus Ferrari 488 versus Porsche 911. 98, 505, 666. Those are the 3 we are likely to see getting pole, because they're the only 3 that have pro drivers in it. Then you've got the silvers in the GT4 category, which should be very entertaining to see as well, especially with a maybe disappointing performance from the Okayama Toyota. Ochai is the partner to Takashi Suehiro, and it's Suehiro who leads the championship. But Ochai did not join him for the second round in Fuji because of a clash, and so Suehiro leads that championship on his own. And it's Suehiro who is now qualifying that 38 Wakayama Toyota. The 39 car is in a similar situation, and Manopo, who qualified in Q1, he's the one that leads, is second in the championship. His teammate for this weekend, Saita Nonaka, also missed that Fuji weekend. So whilst he is here, he is unable to win the championship because he missed that weekend and he was replaced in that car by Urabe. In that GT4 category, we've had wins for the Wakayama Toyota. We've also had wins for Sunrise Boulevard. They won in Fuji in race 2. 39 Toyota Gazoo Racing and the number 50 BMW have all taken victories. So it's been a pretty even Stevens spread in GT4. And now, let's do a full lap in the Maezawa Racing Ferrari 488 with Naoki Yokomitsu. Into turn 1 then. Hooks up the curb on the right-hand side. You want to stay as right as possible to get this corner all set up nicely. It looks a bit off camber from the outside shot, so it's forcing you wide onto that dirt. And now down through the left, through the right, and into the big braking zone. And the pits, the 7-7 guys changing tyres, so scrubbing a new set, not doing what we saw with Oliveira where they swap the tyres around. It just looks like they're taking them off and putting a different set on. Curious thing to do. So Yokomitsu looks like he's backing out of that one. Weaving around, looks relatively attacking though, through the 2 hairpins at the end of the lap, through Redman and Hobbs. But it is obviously his first attempt, so still feels like he needs a bit more confidence in the car. Now, Uematsu, of course, up to speed already, having done qualifying in Q1, so he's able to be straight on the money and straight attacking. And you can see that from the aggression that Uematsu is already leaning into that McLaren. He knows he's got work to do here alongside the Pro Drive lineups. The Pro drivers here, he really needs to pull everything out the bag. There's the 488. .6 seconds faster than what we have on the board at the moment, but that's not really a representative time right now. Even if Uematsu's going faster, he's not going as fast as Yokomizo ahead. Naoki Yokomizo comes to the line. This is going to be the benchmark then. And we are into the 29s. If you remember, the pro drivers in Q2 in Fanatec GT were in the 28s. So a little way to go yet, but on a first attempt, Yokomitsu sets a real benchmark. Uematsu only able to be 2 seconds off that pace. So we look at the Pro-Am cars really to compete with Yokomitsu. Surely Fujinami has got to be one of those in the 666. Long-term Nissan Works driver after 13 years, relieved of that contract at the relieved of that contract at the end of 2 years ago, but then was recontracted as a test driver for last year. Didn't like that too much, so now is a free agent and obviously runs his team KFM as well. Carrying good speed through turn 10 there. Not a big lift like we saw from some of our other cars, and this should be a good lap from Takei. Shinji Takei then, 3rd position, 1.6 back from Yokomitsu's pace. And Yokomitsu's improved that one again. He's done a 28.4 now. Oyagi up to 8th. So once again, we're kind of looking down the field going, where is Fujinami and where is Takagi? Those are the 2 cars we really expected to be at the sharp end, and for the moment, not setting, well, Fujinami hasn't set a time at all, and Takagi's 7.5 seconds off, so we haven't seen representative laps from either of those 2. Here's Uematsu. Now Takagi goes up to 2nd position. Okay, as Yokomizo brings his Ferrari into the pits halfway through this session. Fujinami now goes up to 7th. Uematsu comes over the line, and this will be an improvement. No, stays 3rd. A new set of tyres going on Yokomizo's 488 Ferrari. And Takagi now with a purple in Sector 1. Here we go. This is why this car is likely to be the first Japan Cup champions. 1.5 hands on that trophy already after taking 3 victories across our 6 races so far. They were half-handed it really, weren't they, when Bingo Racing decided to move into the AM category. But Takagi with the newer Ferrari, of course, a 296, only a year and a half old in competition, whereas the 488, the elder statesman of the Ferrari brand. And Takagi does go faster than Yokomitsu. Oh, car off. Well, the GTC Porsches in the gravel. Looks like he'll be able to get out of that. And it's a 27.7 from Takagi. A very, very fast lap time indeed. And bearing in mind, we've just had a lap time from Fujinami that is 1.5 seconds slower than that. That is really showing what Takagi can do. Takei, only fourth, stays fourth. Best of the AM category cars though. Then it's Yamasaki, then it's Uematsu, who has brought his McLaren into the pits. Quite a few cars in the pits. Good news for the Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia. They're on provisional pole for GT4. Just a replay of the all-white Gamma 83 Porsche driving through the gravel. It's Okuro. Is it Okuro? Yes, Okuro, who is in that 83 car at the moment. So, new tyres, as we saw, for Yokomitsu. He's just come out of the pits. He's on his first full lap, having been in the pits. Now Fujinami, fastest last sector of anybody. New tyres on that car as well. Or was that, no, he hasn't been in the pits, has he? It's taking him a while to build up. We finally do have the 3 Pro-Am cars that we expected to see at the top of our standings, Takagi, Yokomitsu and Fujinami. Takai, best of the AM, over the line for another lap in the Corvette. As I was alluding to a few moments ago, Nonaka in the 39 Toyota on the pole position in GT4, ahead of Suero by 0.2 of a second, and then Fujiwara in the 82 just a 10th back from that, with Masaki Kano in 4th. Here we go then, let's follow a lap with the 555 Yokomitsu. See what those new tyres can do. You can really lean on them. You can almost see the car sticking to the ground. Runs down to the back of the circuit, through the outward curve, up the hill, trying to carry all the momentum you can as you crown over the rise. And now, light hands, relax the hands on the steering wheel. Hard on the brakes, into hairpin. Slightly losing the light, bit of cloud cover coming over here around the circuit, and now diving down the hill. That's a tough left-hander. Where Damon Hill spun in 1994. In one of 2 Pacific Grand Prix that were held here when the circuit was first opened. 0.6 of a second off. Yokomitsu's going to have to go again. He's had a nice clear track ahead of him, so really have much of an excuse here. Through the final turn, he's got 0.7 of a second to find. He wants that provisional pole. Oh, he's good through the final sector of the lap though, isn't he? Finds a 0.1 of a second, but he needs to be better in the middle sector. There's his teammate. There's Spaceman himself. Takagi on the pole. A 27.7 is the target. Yokomitsu is better again in that first sector, better than he's done before. But it's the middle sector where Takagi did all the damage. As we switch our attention now to GT4. Masaki Kano, 4th in GT4. The only GT4 car out on the track. The top 3 all in the pits. Kano is a second off Nanaka's pace. So time to find from Kano, and he is better than he's previously been through that first sector. Big long middle sector of the lap, long time to wait to see if there's an improvement. Breaks the beam, and it is going to be better. Obviously the splits compared to our pole man, checker flag flies just after Yokomitsu goes through and improves. He's now just 0.2 of a second behind Takagi. Didn't take the pole position, but does still have a lap in his pocket, whereas Fujinami's just come across the line to take the flag. Kano's going to do the same thing. This is a better lap time from the BMW. Over the line, where does he slot in? He stays 4th in GT4. It's a better lap time. He's sliced half a second off his lap time, but he's not going any further up the grid. Yep, number 1. By just 0.2 of a second in the end. Shinichi Takagi is once again your pole man. Yokomitsu tried hard, but in the end, Takagi just doing 5 laps. Yokomitsu and Fujinami doing 9 each to try and get that pole, and Fujinami in the end 0.7 of a second off Takagi. Best Am, Bingo Corvettes, Shinji Takai, and then it's Yamasaki, Oyagi, Uematsu, Tanaka. So confirmation then of our results in qualifying 2. Takagi 0.2 of a second faster in the end, ahead of Yokomitsu. Took 2 sets of tyres to get himself 2nd. Fujinami only 3rd in the 7.7 with KFM, but it's going to be a great battle between those 3 cars on Sunday. Best of the AMs, Takai in the Bingo Racing Corvette ahead of the Comet Racing Ferrari, and then best of the Nissans with the team Daishan with GT Net. Uematsu only ending up 4th in AM in the end. The 2 GTCs of Sawa and Okura. And then in GT4, Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia, 0.2 of a second ahead of Wakayama Toyota, with the Porsche of Sunrise Boulevard just 0.1 of a second off. Those 3 really, really tight. A late effort from Kano to get himself into the mix of things in the Risehead Racing BMW in 4th. And then it's K-Tunes Racing, Toyota, and DZ Racing, Aston Martin, rounding out our 16 qualifiers for Q2. Let's go down to Amy once more.
高木選手、今シーズン何度もですけれども、改めてポールポジションおめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
フェラーリ対決になりましたけれども、チャンピオンシップジャパンカップ今週末決まります。王手をかけてます今日。
そうですね。ちょっとねポールポジション僕取れたのが良かったんですけど、山脇さんがねちょっとセッティングがちょっとうまく僕 合わせきれなかったので申し訳なかったので、まあ、その分僕の方はいい方向でアタックできてよかったと思うんですけど、まあ、今日はね 5番手スタートかな、そこから、まあ、雨のレースになりそうな雰囲気もあるんで、そういう意味ではいろんなことが起きる。とにかく、まあ、結果を残すために完走を目指してチャンピオンを狙いに行きたいと思います。
はい、応援してますんで頑張ってください。
ありがとうございます。
改めておめでとうございました。So yes, they're very much looking forward to the championship this afternoon. However, the weather forecast is a little bit skeptical. Maybe it might rain, maybe it will not, but he wants to finish the race this afternoon. His lap was great. He felt a little bit sorry that he couldn't set up the car for Yamawaki, his partner, earlier, as he had the setup. So that's a little bit of pity he has in his heart, but still he's very happy about his pole position. ありがとうございます。
That's interesting, isn't it? To have the car set up for the pro driver more than your AM. It's not usually the philosophy that they go with. They usually get the car up for the AM because the AM's more sensitive and then the pro deals with it. But always great to hear from Shinichi Takagi. He's always a big smiler. And here are the highlights of qualifying then here in Okayama as the clouds continue to gather over the circuit. Early effort from Yokomitsu in the 555. Maezawa racing Ferrari 488. Uematsu, who had already done qualifying 1, was right on the pace early doors. And a real eclectic mix of GT3 cars in the field. The Corvette, the Lexus, well, we should have had a Lexus. 2 different types of Ferrari. And I think we're set up for some really interesting action. If you want to join us, please come and join us at 12:30 local time, where we will be on air for Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia Race 1. Japan Cup Race 1 is 4 o'clock local time here in Japan. Join us then. Until then, thanks very much for watching.